423 Yada Yahowah, Shanah, years. 9. Basar, Herald. Awakening God's People. The 51st, 52nd, and 53rd chapters of Yeshaya, Isaiah are among the most misunderstood and misappropriated of Yahweh's prophetic pronouncements. They speak of a Basar, Herald and Zarowa, who can be either the sacrificial lamb or the one sowing seeds pursuant to him. Each of these individuals should be acknowledged if we are to understand the intent of the prophecy. Since this portrayal precedes one of the three presentations pertaining to the fulfillment of Pesach, Matzah, and Bikurim, the others are in Daud's Mizmor, Psalms 22 and 88, it is incorrectly presumed to address Jesus. However, the simply is not true, as we will demonstrate. Hanging out on a 3,000-year-old branch, I'm here to suggest that what you are about to read represents the first time this portion of Yeshaya, Isaiah has been accurately translated or correctly interpreted. To help you decide and then capitalize, I am going to provide you with ample information. Yahweh's announcement begins with God pleading with his people to ditch their religious garb and accept apparel which purifies and empowers. Awake, awake, Yahuwah, choose to wake up and become alert, be roused from the stupor and rise up, Kal imperative, choose to become clothed, lavish, desire being adorned, Kal imperative, in power which 424 strengthens and protects, emboldens and equips, Oz, in that which fortifies and empowers, enables and endures, from one Kiza because the mount has Ozota, your strength. Yashar, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:1 in part. Israel has been in a 3,000-year religious funk, a stupor from which they must be roused before it is too late. A cacophony of errors has served to mislead God's people, beginning with their failure to recognize Daud as their returning Mashiach and Ben Elohim. This problem was exacerbated by the inability to perceive that what their prophet and king had written in Mizmor, Psalms 22 and 88 transpired in their presence when he served as the Passover lamb in year 4000 year, 33 CE. Had they done so, they would now recognize that year 6000 year, 2033 CE, is on the horizon and, with it, the fulfillment of reconciliations and Sukkah, and the return of Yahweh and Daud. Beguiled by the Rambam's sanctification of the moon scheme and his predilection for the numeral 19, here in 2023, those beguiled by Judaism believe that it is year 5783 rather than year 5990 year. This is relevant to this prophecy because it addresses what will soon occur. And if God's people don't wake up, the most glorious day in human history is going to transpire without them, literally because the religious will be among those who are eliminated. As the clock ticks down on their fate, for the most part, Israel will remain comatose, lulled asleep by their repulsive rabbis and disingenuous politicians. And yet, based upon the realization that all three verbs were scribed in the imperative mood, this is an opportunity for a remnant of God's people, their choice to wake up before it is too late. It isn't a coincidence that the inception of Rabbinic Judaism is coterminous with the rejection of what Daud 425 had written about serving as the Pesach Ale, Passover lamb. The religion emerged while the Messiah was fulfilling the Mikra. Unwilling to accept what he had prophesied, they missed one of only two opportunities to reconcile the relationship with Yahweh. The other, Daud will provide 10 years from now during Yom Kippurim, the day of reconciliations at sunset, 6:22 p.m. in Jerusalem, October 2, 2033. The means to life everlasting comes by accepting the adornment Yahweh is offering. God wants to clothe his children in the set-apart Spirit's garment of light. It protects and perfects, emboldens, equips, and empowers those who desire it, equipping us to prevail. While that's clear enough, the rabbis, elevating themselves above God, have the Creator urging people to clothe themselves in their own power and strength. Fortunately, having read the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the Torah, we know better. It was obvious because rabbis, as underworked parasites, are the furthest from strong, and black mourning suits are not of divine issue. As we approach this next pronouncement, be aware that Jews have been led to believe that Mount Zion is on the western periphery of Jerusalem. In actuality, it is part of Moriah, Revere Yer, Moriah. Further, they believe that to be a Zionist is to be a patriot, a political proponent of the state of Israel, when Zion actually represents the signs posted between Daud's house and Yaz, pointing the way home. And since these waymarks are symbolic of Yahweh's testimony, the directions inscribed upon them ought to reside within God's people. His message should radiate out of us as if we were a neon sign. Zion, signs posted along the way. Zion, the waymarks and signposts on the ridgeline of Moriah featuring the homes of Yahweh and Daud, choose to be adorned, lavish, of your own free will, up to become 426 clothed, Kal imperative, in garments, bidged, with apparel, beautifying you, Tiferath, honoring you by making you radiant. O Yerushalayim, the source from which instruction and guidance on reconciliation flow, the set-apart, HaKodesh, the special and unique, city, it's true that, by contrast, never again, lo yazafod, no more and no longer, will the uncircumcised, the stubborn, unresponsive, and forbidden, or the defiled and impure, watam, or those with a bad reputation who are unclean and common, and thus religious, come and be included among you, Bobath. Yashar, salvation is from Yah, Isaiah 52:1. We, the members of Yahweh's covenant family, are Zion, the signs along the way. It is our mission in life to point the way home. We are properly informed and positioned to direct Israel's attention to the eternal connection between Yahweh, Daud, Yerushalayim, and circumcision as the sign of the covenant. God's radiant garments are at the opposite end of the spectrum from the black mourning clothes of the Haredim. Similarly, Jerusalem is currently the furthest thing from being set apart, polluted as it is with Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and reactionary progressives. Fortunately, there will be urban renewal, a time when all traces of religion and the religious will be eliminated. Yerushalayim will become Beth Barith, the home of the covenant. The elimination of the uncircumcised is especially relevant because circumcision is the fifth and final condition of the covenant. Therefore, those who are not part of Yahweh's Barith family will be banished. Moreover, since also addresses those who are stubborn and unresponsive, and Tam identifies the defiled 427 and religious, we have been afforded a vivid picture of the intended exclusions. Of your own initiative, apart from all political and religious influences, shake off and keep away from, of your own free will, and free of the compulsion of societal pressures, disassociate from, hitpale imperative, the dirt, filth, and rubbish, natural particulates and rubble, especially the shades of grey about to be pulverized, and arise, standing upright and restored, choosing to take a stand, be confirmed and established. Stay, dwell, and endure, yashab, choose to live and abide, kal imperative, in Yerushalayim, source of reconciliation. Free of all societal influences and of your own volition release, patak, free from religious or political pressures, loosen, hitpale imperative, the bonds, mauser, chains, shackles, fetters, and implements which bind, upon your neck, zarowa, captives, shabia, those politically and religiously controlled. Bath Zion, restore and rebuild the house and family of the signs posted on the way, Bath Zion, daughter of the signpost and waymark, from Banar, to rebuild and restore a family home. Yashar, freedom is from Yah, Isaiah 52:2. Continuing to encourage his people to reject religion, Yahweh calls popular contrivances filthy rubbish which must be avoided. And since shake off and keep away from this trash was scribed in the hitpale imperative, we can only make this choice once removed from society's most controlling influences. It is also telling that God is describing religion and politics as mauser, shackles and chains, fetters which bind. Yahweh recognizes that religion and governance were 428 conceived for the few to control and extort the many. They may be fooling the faithful but not God. Throughout these volumes, we have used the alliteration of stain, stench, and stigma to describe the scum of religion. Yahweh also uses dung and excrement, pollution and rubbish, filth and dirt. But no matter the descriptor, we are encouraged to shake it off and then keep away from it. God recognizes that religion casts an invasive shadow over the entire society, and that its bonds, while hard to break, must be shattered. To be part of the covenant we must take a stand against and rise above its pervasive influence. It is only then that we can yashab, live and endure, abiding forevermore in Yerushalayim. Yahweh's request that we choose to break free from the shackles of religion, releasing its fetters so as to no longer be under its control, is advanced by Patak Mauser Shabia, releasing the shackles of control. It is also conveyed using the hitpale imperative. This is God's will and our choice, one we must make to endure. When the text reads Beni, sons, we often render the result children. The same is true with Bath, the feminine of Ben. But more than this, since Ben is from Banar, to rebuild and restore a home, I thought that, in the singular, Bath should be more expressive in this context and convey all of these thoughts. What follows provides an interesting contrast. People have surrendered their souls by choice, compulsion, and/or societal and family influence to religious and political institutions for millennia. In most cases, those that communism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and socialist secular humanism have come to control have sacrificed their money, and often their freedom and lives, to these ill-conceived causes, receiving nothing more than false hope 429 inches return. So, by way of contrast, Yahweh says that his redemption is priceless. Therefore, right here and now, pertaining to a specific position in spacetime relative to the speaker used as a comparison or contrast, says, Amar, declares, answers and promises Yahowah, Yahowah, our Eloah, God has directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Hayeh, existence and our Shalom, restoration, you have been betrayed, having sold yourself, Makar, you have made merchandise of yourself, having surrendered yourself over to death after having become possessed by another in an exchange. For nothing and naught, without even the benefit of a rational argument, Shinam, without cause or compensation, gratis, for no purpose, undeservedly, and so those of you who are redeemed will be bought back, Gal, ransomed, without money, while lo bar kezef, without the things people cherish and prefer. Yashar, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:3. Not only does religion seek to control, it betrays. The false hope it offers is a flight of fancy, a way of beguiling the faithful into believing that, while their lives may be miserable and without purpose, so long as they capitulate there will be a reward in the afterlife. But such promises are readily refuted. As proof, read Prophet of Doom, Babel, Questioning Paul, or An Introduction to God, because they destroy the credibility of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. But this problem of squandering one's soul for nothing, without a rational argument, isn't limited to these more traditional religions. For example, progressive Jews have recently gone on a rampage. When they noticed via social media that one of their fellow progressives, the dishonorable and dim-witted Kamala Harris, served a bottle of wine produced in what they incorrectly refer to as the West Bank and thus occupied territories for Passover in the vice president's 430 residence, they went apoplectic. Their immoral outrage was then used to delegitimize Israel. They were opposed to having the police arrest vicious Muslim rioters, even if it was to prevent them from mortally wounding Jews in Jerusalem during Passover. They said that it was unjustified, while that the rioters were entitled to their rage due to the mythical occupation. In their view, the illegitimate Jews should just walk away and give the whole of Israel to the terrorists, activists and freedom fighters. Apart from their illusions, progressive Jews are cannibalistic, feeding upon themselves. God's statement should have inflicted a mortal blow to religion, particularly Judaism, which has perfected the art of fleecing the faithful. Not to be outdone in this race to hell, Islam requires that all Muslims continue to pay the tax the money-grubbing Muhammad initially imposed on his subjects. Non-Muslims in subjugated lands pay an even higher toll or they die. Catholics sold indulgences for centuries. Forgiveness was something to be bartered. Progressives steal by taxing the productive to death. Since each of these religious offenders claim these words and this God, why is it that their teachings run counter to his? Yahowah is opposed to controlling people and defrauding them and to a paid clergy and monetary donations. I can't imagine there would be much left of Judaism, Islam, or Christianity without the financial incentive. And it is all for naught. There is no benefit or even a rational argument for sacrificing one's soul to these whores. And all the while, Yahowah is offering to ransom his people from those who have abducted them, using something they do not value, his son's soul. With God, the exchange is free on our behalf and exceptionally rewarding. With man, it is expensive and defrauding. And yet, as if trying to discard our neshama, 431 conscience and prove that we aren't competent at logic, economics, or math, humanity prefers to be robbed rather than enriched, most especially Jews advocating Judaism. Should you need another reason to distrust rabbis, the Masoretes replaced Yahowah's name with that of their God, the Lord, at the beginning of this next statement. Since it's not found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, we'll omit the satanic reference. For thus says, Ky Koamar, Yahowah, Yahowah, the proper pronunciation of Yahowah, our Eloah, God has directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Hayeh, existence and our Shalom, restoration, from 1 Kiza, in an earlier time, Bahar Rishon, formerly and early on, my people, Ameni, descended, going down to, Yared, were brought down, Miraim, the crucibles of political and religious oppression, Miraim. The cauldrons of cruel persecution where the people were confined and restricted by military and economic institutions, plural of Matzor, to be delineated as a foe and besieged, during a time of testing and tribulation, from to be bound and confined by an adversary, assaulted and shut up in the likes of a concentration camp, by those showing great hostility, to dwell there as strangers, La Gresham, live as aliens who were conspired against and attacked in that place. Then the Assyrian, Wa Ashur, war-prone Upper Mesopotamian amalgamation of city-states named after their national deity, Ashur, a favorite among the 2,500 gods and goddesses including Marduk, Bel, and Ishtar, known over the centuries as Sumer, Babylon, and Chaldea, oppressed and mistreated them, Ashakhu, defrauded and exploited them, violated and extorted them, tormenting and crushing them, robbing them as tyrants, beyond measure and without cause, Baaphes, to the greatest extent possible. To an extreme degree, and for 432 nothing. Yashar, salvation is from Yah, Isaiah 52:4. Yarad, which is to descend, to go down or be brought down, was used to describe Israel's early sojourn out of the Promised Land and into the realm of political and religious oppression. The move had been voluntary in response to climate change, with the first generation of migrants living as guests within Miraim. But after a while, the Hebrews were subjected to conspiracy theories similar to those which led to the Inquisition, pogroms, and Holocaust, with Jews scapegoated and exploited. Yahweh Allah lifted them out of this cauldron of subjugation and Yatsar withdrew them, bringing the children of Israel into the Promised Land. Unfortunately, rather than celebrate their relationship with the ultimate benefactor, the Israelites embraced the religious and political customs of the Gentile kingdoms surrounding them. Having chosen their fate by worshipping pagan gods, and estranged from Yahweh, they were dragged away into captivity by Ashur 7 centuries after being liberated from Miraim. The names of these places are revealing because they describe the deplorable and oppressive conditions from which Yahweh is offering to liberate his children. Almost every civilization, from Babylon to Assyria including the Egyptians, Hittites, and Carthaginians, inclusive of Greece, Imperial Rome, and the Roman Catholic Church, from the Ottomans to the Nazis, Soviets, and Maoists, has subjugated their own people while violently oppressing others. The larger the empire and the more influential the nation, the more restrictive and deadly they become. Miraim is indicative of governmental, religious, military, and economic oppression. It is defined as a place of confinement, where upward mobility and freedom are highly restricted by military, political, religious, and 433 economic institutions. Miraim is the plural of Matsor, to be delineated as a foe and besieged during a time of testing and tribulation. Matsor in turn is from Ma and Chir, to question being bound and confined by an adversary, assaulted and shut up in the likes of a concentration camp, by those showing great hostility. And it is from such human oppression that Yahweh liberated his people. In actuality, the situation the Hebrews endured in Miraim, Egypt was exceedingly common. Until very recently, almost every political entity on earth, from empires to fiefdoms, imposed a caste system which assured the dictator absolute control and unbridled wealth. The lowest rung of this ladder to nowhere was slavery, although no one apart from the potentate was free. Not only did each of the aforementioned civilizations universally impose these restrictions, but they did so with the supposed blessing of their gods and goddesses. That which the government did not lord over, the priesthood did. The union of politics and religion has continually prevailed to control everyone beneath them in the governing hierarchy. It is the way of the Goim and became the way of the Yahweh. God despises every depressing and degrading nuance of it. This realization is why I am so disgusted by Black Lives Matter, critical race theory, wokeism, progressives, communists, and socialists. Those who feel that they are entitled to the best of everything without paying for anything, much less actually working to create something of value, are always seeking to blame those who are productive for their miserable and unfulfilling lives, as if the success of others prevents their own. They cry that the system is rigged against them, inhibiting their upward mobility, when there has never been greater opportunity for everyone than there is today, especially in the West. The current systems actually favor minorities, giving them 434 preferential treatment in admissions and scholarships, as well as all manner of government entitlements, incentives, loans, and protections. The truth is simply inverted to make the lies seem preferential. Assyria was among the cruelest ancient civilizations, and that takes some doing. They didn't just attack their neighbors without cause, rape, rob, and enslave them, they sought to humiliate them while inflicting as much pain as possible. Their gods and goddesses, priests and kings, insisted upon it. Ashak is an apt and descriptive term in this context. It defines the effect of religious and political regimes. They oppress by deceiving, they defraud through extortion. To be Ashak is to be exploited, violated, and tormented. And in this case, as well as with the Egyptians, Greeks, Imperial Romans, Roman Catholics, Muslims, and Nazis, they did so bar fees, beyond measure and without cause, to the greatest extent possible. It is akin to combining the Inquisition with the Holocaust. In a milder sense, it is what liberals attempted to achieve through their COVID-19 lockdowns. It was, of course, counterproductive, recognizing what Israelites have done and are now doing to themselves, continually choosing their religion over a relationship with the one true God. Yahweh asks a rather relevant question. So then, Wa Otter, why should I be concerned here, my La Epo, what is my role in such pontifications, prophetically asks, Naum, declares in advance of it occurring, Yahweh, Yahweh, the proper pronunciation of Yahovah, our Eloah, God has directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Ha-Yeh, existence and our Shalom, restoration, since, KY because, my people, any am, are led away and accept this, lakek, are grasped and held, collectively obtained, seized, and taken away, Paul perfect. At this time they 435 passively accept being led, for nothing, without a valid reason, and in vain, chinam, for naught, to no avail, and without cause or purpose, for no advantage. Yashar, salvation is from Yah, Isaiah 52:5 in part. That is not a question we want God to ask of us. To be led away from Yahweh is to be forsaken, to have lived life for naught. When we trust the words of men instead of the word of God, Yahweh can no longer help us because his remedy requires us to rely upon what he is offering. My La'inipo can be translated as either why should I be concerned here? Or what is my role with such pontifications? This option exists because Po is scribed identically with Pei, mouth, the place we form and convey our words regarding our thoughts and emotions. And if the latter, then Yahweh is saying that the words which underlie Judaism are to no avail. By using lakek, translated as have been led away and accept this, in the prophetic question, Yahweh is saying that his concern for his people is compromised, even jeopardized, by the propensity of Judaism to grasp hold of Yahweh, Jews, collectively controlling them and leading them astray. And in the Paul stem, we find that Jews accept being misled, even controlled, with minimal resistance because it conveys passivity. This presents an interesting dynamic. It suggests that we must push back against, indeed oppose, even fight, the controlling influences of religion, conspiracy theories, partisan politics, intrusive militarism, and even racism. God's interest in our lives wanes in direct correlation to our acceptance of all passivity toward being led astray or taken away, being caught up in the outreach and grasp of any popular or collective influence, and I was going to write, other than his own, but his way has never appealed to the majority of Yahweh Morgaum. Yahweh's position strongly insinuates that religion, conspiracy, and 436 government are effective, albeit degenerative, control mechanisms whose constraining influences very few individuals are willing and able to disavow. And yet, while people are affected by them, God cannot help. And therein is perhaps why Yahweh adores Abraham and engaged with him. The father of the covenant was neither particularly bright nor ethical, but he was willing to walk away from the influence of Babylon. In a world in which such individuals are few and far between, often non-existent, a soul who is willing to listen and go where his words lead becomes highly desirable. The insights presented in this prophetic announcement also serve to explain why Malachi was the last of the prophets. Nearly 25 centuries would pass before another Jew would push back and walk away from the religious, cultural, and political influences of his people. And even then, it would require a Gai doing this very thing on behalf of Yahweh and Yahweh to awaken the sleeping potential of Yisrael. There is a plethora of ways to render the concluding adverb, chinam, freely and for nothing, without a valid reason or cause, and in vain, such that it is futile. Chinam means for naught, to no avail, and without purpose. There is no advantage or benefit in chinam. It can be defined as undeservedly and for nothing. Rooted in chen, chinam is to favor and accept grace and pity. This, then, opens another can of worms. To encourage the appearance of mercy, even to seek compassion from an abductor and tormentor, is to be Stockholmed, a disorienting coping mechanism deployed by a hostage in an abusive situation toward his or her captors. It is common in child abuse, human trafficking, and religious or political kidnapping. Those who are being controlled, rather than fight back, come to identify and bond with those who are 437 manipulating and degrading them. It is an irrational and counterproductive response which is exceedingly disorienting, and difficult to resolve. Should this be the proper interpretation of God's prophetic assessment, then it explains why Jews were so heavily influenced by the Greeks and Romans, why they defend Muslims, and even why Hasidic Judaism grew out of the worst of the Ukrainian pogroms. It explains why the six-sided star Jews were forced to wear in the ghettos by their Roman Catholic overlords, and later by the Nazis, was adopted as the symbol of the state and religion. In addition, to chinam, accept grace is tantamount to converting to an anti-Semitic and abusive religion, especially Christianity. In the choice between conversion or a torturous death, most of the Jews hauled off as slaves by the Romans came to accept the religion of their captors, becoming Roman Catholics. The same was true under the constant degradation, oppressive taxation, deprivation of rights, and threat of death under Islam. Even today, many, if not most, of the Middle Eastern kings and despots are ethnically Jews. While under the grasp of Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, neither Jew nor Gentile can be saved. If a person does not care sufficiently about their soul to consider Yahweh's approach to everlasting life, then there is no reason for God to be concerned either. And that is the moral of this story. Their orators, political and religious rulers, martial hue, those who exercise governmental and clerical power and authority over them, their sages, those who are considered wise and whose pontifications have become notorious, lack understanding and exercise poor judgment such that they simply cry and scream, Yal, are fools who fail to offer reasoned conclusions or warranted insights or Yalal, lament and wail with shrill 438, and sorrowful voices. 1 Keza reads Yal while the mountain 70 show Yalal. Prophetically declares, Naum, Yahowah, Yahowah, our Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Hayeh, existence and our Shalom, restoration, while every day, continually and constantly, Watamit Shel Ha-Yam, all of the time, my name, Shem Eni, my personal and proper designation, even reputation, is despised, rejected, and treated with contempt, nats, spurned, devalued, and abhorred, blasphemed and disrespected. Avoided and disdained, participle hit pale, demonstrably and actively shunned while acting entirely on their own initiative to reject. Yashaya, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:5. For nearly 2 millennia, rabbis have ignorantly cried and screamed, wailing and lamenting like incomprehensible clowns with unrelenting and shrill voices, puncturing the minds and souls of Jews without ever calmly conveying a reasonable or reconciling, redeeming or rewarding, thought on behalf of Yahowah, not once. Without exception. Ever. Jewish political, academic, and religious leaders have been a disappointment, their sages, authors, and orators are without wisdom or reason. Their pontifications throughout the Talmud and New Testament, even the Communist Manifesto, are infamous, albeit nats, abhorrent. Even today, especially today, with all evidence unambiguously and irrefutably indicating that they are wrong, rabbis nats, despise and disdain, reject and avoid, disregard and disrespect, Yahowah's name. It would take a Gawi to bring God's name to the forefront so that it would be known and respected once again. This is the lesson the world most needs to learn. If you listen to the foolishness of religious or political proponents, even the irrational rants of the conspiratorial or patriotic, rather than to Yahowah, he will not hear your pleas, no matter how sorrowful or piercing. And if you do not know 439 or proclaim Yahowah's name, you are excluded from his sympathy, home, and assistance. While we are afforded many ways to know and revere Yahowah through the witness of his Torah, Nabi, wa Mizmor, it all begins by developing an appreciation for his name. God has but one, and it is vital. There are countless reasons to disavow Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, but their universal disregard for Yahowah's name is foremost among them. Unless words are written and spoken in God's actual name, they are neither sanctioned nor inspired by Yah. This is the most fatal and fundamental flaw of the Talmud, New Testament, and Quran. With the great Isaiah scroll, 1 Kaiser, differing from the Septuagint, 70, and the Masoretic text, Mount, I'll let you decide if Yahowah called the Jewish religious and political leaders Yal, ignorant and irrational fools without understanding or insight as a result of their poor judgment, or Yalal, screamers and crybabies with shrill and lamentable voices. Having made a point of reading the Israeli media while studying Judaism, I can attest that both apply. Case in point, the Jewish Publication Society, JPS, Tanakh reads, their mockers howl declares the Lord, and consistently and unceasingly my name is reviled. Score 3 points for Satan. The Lord replaced Yahowah, martial, political and religious leaders who orate was rendered as mockers, and they would have readers believe that howl is a suitable rendering of either Yal, stupidity, or Yalal, screaming. That's rather foolish since Hebrew was their native tongue. Considering the popularity of the New International Version, NIV, surely, they did better. Those who rule them mock, declares the Lord. And all day long my name is constantly blasphemed. Since martial Hugh can be 440 rendered as their rulers, those who rule them is a decent paraphrase, but both mock and the Lord are wrong. So, it remains a shutout, Yahowah 0, Satan 5. The King James Version, KJV, was supposedly authorized, albeit by a clueless and power-hungry king, so perhaps with their authority came wisdom. They that rule over them make them to howl, saith the Lord, and my name continually every day is blasphemed. That's no better. So how about the New King James Bible, make them wail, says the Lord, and my name is blasphemed continually. The devil wins again. The score is, Yahowah's message 0, Satan's interpretation 9. The adversary managed to influence the religious to replace Yahowah's name with his own in the place where it would do him the most good and humankind the most harm, corrupting Yahowah's testimony. The most recent paraphrase to market its novel approach as the Word of God is the New Living Translation, NLT. They published, what is this? Asks the Lord. Why are my people enslaved again? Those who rule them shout in exultation. My name is blasphemed all day long. Since there is no justification for what is this, the Lord, enslaved, again and exaltation, I'm not sure they were even reading the same book. The New American Standard Bible, NASB, the translation which prides itself in being literal, blasphemed, saying, "Again the Lord declares, those who rule over them howl, and my name is continually blasphemed all day long." That is not even remotely akin to their orators, political and religious rulers, martial Hugh, those who exercise governmental and clerical power and authority over them, their sages, those who are considered wise and whose pontifications have become notorious, lack understanding and exercise poor 441 judgment such that they simply cry and scream, Yal, are fools who fail to offer reasoned conclusions or warranted insights or Yalal, lament and wail with shrill and sorrowful voices, prophetically declares. Naam, Yahowah, Yahowah, while every day, continually and constantly, Watamid Shurl Ha-Yam, my name, Shem Eni, is despised, rejected, and treated with contempt, nats, spurned, devalued, and abhorred, blasphemed and disrespected. Avoided and disdained. Yeshaya 52-5, the text does not support again, the Lord, those who, over them, howl, or long. So much for literal. Score another 2 points for Satan. But before we leave the NASB, since they wallow all over themselves, excusing their blasphemous behavior, let's review their opening editorial comments under the heading, The Proper Name for God. They lied, the most common name for deity is God, a translation of the original Elohim. God is not a name, it is a title, much like father or king. Moreover, Elohim is the plural of El, and thus Elohim is literally gods in translation. The NASB continues, the normal word for master is Lord, a rendering of Adonai. While neither master, Lord, or Adonai have anything to do with Yahweh's name, making this a red herring, in actuality, Baal is not only the most prevalent term for Lord and Master, it serves as Satan's name and title throughout the Torah and prophets. Further, Adonai isn't Lord, but, instead, my Lord. Moreover, it serves as the basis of Adonis, the Greek god. Deceiving again, the NASB editorial board claims, there is yet another name which is particularly assigned to God as his special or proper name, that is, the 4 letters YHWH. Yes, YHWH, vocalized Yahowah, is God's special and proper name, however it is his only name, therefore it cannot be yet another name. 442 oblivious to Yahweh's message or, more likely, opposed to what is conveyed through the prophets they were allegedly translating, the NASB editorial board erred again, saying this name has not been pronounced by the Jews because of reverence for the great sacredness of the divine name. Therefore it was consistently pronounced and translated Lord. Since Christians have made a religion out of disrespecting Jews, it is disingenuous for them to claim that they are honoring the Jewish approach to anything. Further, Jews simply rejected Yahweh's name, they spurned it, and stopped using it because they lost respect for it. To be exact, they came to nats, despise and reject it, spurn and devalue it, disrespect and avoid Yahweh's Shem, personal and proper name. According to God, the Jewish attitude toward his name was and continues to be the antithesis of reverence. Moreover, there is no Hebrew word to convey sacredness. Furthermore, Adonai is pronounced Adonai and is translated as my Lord. And neither the pronunciation nor the translation justifies replacing Yahweh's name with either. We do not have the authority to copy-edit God. To believe otherwise is to be Yal, ignorant and irrational. It is little wonder the church believes Paul. They have lost the ability to think rationally. In the second paragraph of their treatise on the proper name for God, the NASB editorial board continued to punch their ticket to Shaul, hell. It is known that for many years YHWH has been transliterated as Yahweh. No complete certainty attaches to this pronunciation. In actuality, the pronunciation of Ha-Yah, to exist, Torah, to teach, Elohah, God, and Shalom, to reconcile, especially when combined with the name of the 443 prophet who revealed this text, Yeshaya, Yahowah says explains with absolute certainty how to pronounce Yahowah. How is it that we can pronounce these, and every other word in the Hebrew lexicon, including Adonai, but then somehow fail to articulate the sound of these same letters in this one name? Should any of this be unfamiliar to you, I would encourage you to open Volume 1, Dabarim, Words, of an Introduction to God and consider the investigation we conducted on behalf of understanding the proper pronunciation of YHWH. It was both thorough and compelling, leaving little, if any, doubt regarding the enunciation of the vowels, Yod, Hey, and Wah. The NASB concludes its errant assessment with, however, it is felt by many who are in touch with the laity of our churches that this name conveys no religious or spiritual overtones. It is strange, uncommon, and without sufficient religious and devotional background. No amount of scholarly debate can overcome this deficiency. Hence, it was decided to avoid the use of this name in the translation proper. While these provocateurs were Goim not Yahweh, this is the kind of delusion that compelled Yahowah to inspire the preceding prophetic statement. He is exposing and condemning the most debilitating and degrading crime ever perpetrated by humankind. Removing Yahowah's name from his people and his testimony has led billions astray and inflicted untold hardship. It is the first step toward being religious. It is where the slippery slope to hell begins. Largely as a consequence of the volumes comprising Yada Yahowah, and our diligence with respect to accurately and consistently conveying Yahowah's name whenever it appears within his Torah, Nabi, wa Mizmor. 444 So therefore, Laken, approaching the truth, this is thus right, just, honest, verifiable, and correct. My family, Ameni, my people, will know and will make known, Yada, will possess an awareness of, be acquainted and familiar with, will recognize and acknowledge, be cognizant of and understand, Kal imperfect, literally, actually, relationally, and continually be aware of, my name, Shemeni, my personal and proper designation. Yashar, salvation is from Yah, Isaiah 52:6 in part. God just said, if you don't know his name you are not part of his family. That being the case, consider the damage that has been done by the clerics who have removed his name from his Torah and prophets. It is the single most spiritually lethal act of all time. Having just celebrated Chag Matzah in the spring of 2023, year 5990 year, we are just 10 years away from Yahowah's return at sunset in Jerusalem on October 2, 2033, the day of reconciliations in year 6000 year. And as of this moment, apart from the Yahweh who have come to Yada Yahowah as a result of Yada Yahowah, there isn't a single Jew who knows and promotes Yahowah's name. Therefore, there is either going to be a tremendous awakening of God's people over the next decade, along with a complete repudiation of Judaism, or the reunion is going to be limited. And beyond this date, October 2, 2033, there will be no time to correct one's understanding, find the way home, or capitalize upon Yahowah's offer. If you'd like to witness a celebration of Yahowah's name and his word, visit www.yadayah.com, which is also www.yadayahowah.com. What we have come to know, we share. As a result, Laken, therefore, to approach the truth and concerning that which is verifiable, most assuredly it follows in that day, Bahar Yaum Ha-Hu, during this specific point in time, indeed, KY, I am he, any Hu, 445 who will declare, Ha-Dabar, who will say, behold, look now and see, here I am, Hine any. Yashar, salvation is from Yah, Isaiah 52:6. Ha-Yam Ha-Hu, that specific day is Yom Kippurim, the day of reconciliations in the Yaubel year 6000 year. And Yahowah's declaration, Hine any, here I am, not only assures us that Yahowah, himself, is returning, but also that he is doing so on behalf of his covenant family. Commencing with Basar, Genesis, in the beginning 22-7, Abraham consistently answered Yitzchak using the same phrase. Yitzchak, why Yitzchak, laugh and play, spoke, Amar, 2, El, Abraham, Abraham, Father who raises and lifts up those who stand up and reach up, Father of the abundantly enriched, merciful Father, or Father of multitudes who are confused and troublesome, his father, Abhu, stating, Amar, Father of mine, Ab Eni. He responded, Wa Amar, here I am, Hine Eni, look up at me and pay attention to the details in this discussion, presently, right now I am here, my son, Eni Ben. Then, Wa, he asked, Amar, I see, Hine, the fire, Ha-Esh, the source of light and warmth, the means to transform physical organic life into energy and light, and, Wa, the wooden planks, Ha-Etz, but, Wa, where is, Ayah, the lamb, Ha-Say, to elevate and enrich the experience, La-Ola. Basar, Genesis 22:7. Abraham, responded, Amar, God, Elohim, will come into view and actually reveal the proper perspective to understand how, Ra, to approach him by way of, La-Hu, the lamb, Ha-Say, to elevate and enrich the experience, La-Ola, my son, Eni Ben. Then, Wa, the two of them walked together in Yer, in one accord with Yer, Waholak Shinem Hem Yador. Basar, Genesis 22:8. 446 Yahowah will return and we will behold his appearance. And with these words, he has revealed the way to properly view the Lamb, such that our experience is enriched and uplifting during the Mikra. His desire is for him, and his people to walk together once again. And for this to occur, God promised to deploy a herald to announce his arrival to restore his relationship with Israel. How suitable and befitting, desirable and pleasing, Manah, how beautiful, attractive, necessary, and appropriate appearing, from one Kiza, upon the mounts, Al-Ha-Harim, is the stance, regal, are the feet and footsteps of the explorer, of the Basar, Herald who proclaims the good news, serving as a courier and messenger in the flesh, Basar, of the human who conveys and publishes the importance of, Peel participle, who brings the message for the benefit of those who receive it, communicating demonstrably and actively, who announces on behalf of those who are listening, Shanah, who hears and then declares, making known, hyphal participle, reconciliation, restoration, and renewal, shalom, peace and harmony in the relationship, prosperity and friendship, safety, salvation, and contentment, complete satisfaction and companionship, of the Basar, individual in the flesh who conveys this positive and uplifting message, Basar, of the Herald. The person who conveys the good news and happy tidings publishing, which is good, generous, and beneficial, Tob, is moral and pleasing, productive and desirable, for those who listen, announcing and proclaiming, Shama, for those who hear what is made known, hyphal participle, deliverance and salvation, liberation and freedom, Yahowah, on behalf of the Savior, the word order differs slightly in one keza but the message is the same, and who speaks on behalf of, Amalah, who talks regarding approaching, Zion. The signs posted along the way, Zion, your God, Elohim 447 reigns and provides counsel, Malak, is sovereign and advises, Kal perfect. Yashar, salvation is from Yah, Isaiah 52:7. This is not what I expected, but it is what the words convey. Yashar's prophetic pronouncement is predicting the arrival of a Basar, Herald, an ordinary person who will serve as a messenger. While a Basar is the bearer of good news, he is most assuredly flesh and blood and thus not God. He will, however, speak of Yahowah on behalf of all who will listen. Yahowah is presenting his messenger as an explorer whose stance he sees as suitable and befitting, appropriate, and necessary. His courier's uplifting message will focus on shalom, reconciliation, restoration, and renewal. The tidings are of peace and harmony in the relationship, contentment and satisfaction. That which is being conveyed by the Basar is Tob, good, generous, and beneficial, pleasing and desirable, for those Shama, who listen to his announcement regarding Yahowah, deliverance and salvation, liberation and freedom. He is Amar, speaking to those desirous of La, approaching by reading Zion, the signs posted along the way. For Israel, he is announcing, Elohim Malak, your God reigns by providing counsel on behalf of his people. By referring to this individual as a Basar, one who announces something rather than as a Nabi, prophet, this person is different from the others in that he is speaking for those who were certifiably inspired by Yahowah. His role is to proclaim what God has previously revealed such that it resonates with and awakens his people. And by using Basar, it is evident that the Herald is not Jewish because Gawi and Basar share a secondary association with the flesh. 448 Basar may also serve as an affirmation that his announcement will upend Paul's Gnostic positions found throughout his letters where he demeans the flesh. Yahowah obviously has no issue with it since he is deploying the Basar and he concurs with his stance and position on the issues which matter most. God is actually endorsing his herald's message. So, with the dearth of willing candidates, it seems apparent that, with these translations and explanations, Yahowah is honoring his promise, fulfilling the prophecy. And if someone else would like to jump aboard and serve in this capacity, overtly exposing Yahowah's animosity toward Judaism, Christianity, Islam, conspiracy, politics, militarism, the Fakestinians, Magates, and libertards, while announcing Yahowah's return with Dowd and advocating God's Shem, Torah, Barith, and Mikra on behalf of Yisrael and Yahweh, welcome. Continuing to speak to Yisrael in an effort to arouse the comatose nation. The lone cowl, voice of a singular individual will actually choose to actively engage to literally articulate that which has been communicated by cowl, the desired message and proclamation, singular noun verb construct cal active imperative second person masculine, your watchmen who have witnessed the future and revealed what is going to occur, arranging and laying out what they have seen before you, Zaphath, your most observant, diligent, aware, circumspect, and focused upon future expectations, serving as lookouts for the community, cal participle plural. They will lift up, nasa, they will accept, receive, honor, and respect, cal perfect third person plural, the cowl, voices proclamation, cowl, the message and tidings being articulated, the audible speech which is calling out, noun singular absolute masculine, all 449 together and in one accord, Yador, alike and unified with Yah at the same time as the beloved of Yah, even simultaneously by joining together, singing joyously, Renan, communicating melodiously, happily. And loudly they call out a ringing endorsement for having overcome, Peel imperfect third person plural. Indeed, this is because, KY, emphasizing the validity of this statement, eye to eye, ein bar ein, gaining perspective, insights, and understanding through what is perceived by sight, they will see, Ra, they will witness and observe, Kal imperfect cursive plural, the return, Bar Shub, the coming again to restore, Kal infinitive, of Yahowah, Yahowah, our Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Hayeh, existence and our Shalom, restoration, to Zion, Zion, the signs posted along the way. With mercy, Bar Racham, with love and compassion, from one Kiza. Yashar, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:8. There are times like these when translating the text is akin to working a puzzle. Why was the Kal, voice singular, especially since the verbs following it are plural? Why was Kal written as a verb and as a noun, and thus as a person who is communicating? How are we to interpret the imperative mood which conveys volition in the second person? Is this then the voice of the Basar, Yahowah's herald and messenger? In the construct form, that which is being communicated by the Kal is inseparable from and forever connected with the Zaphath, but who are they? Why are these observant individuals focused on the future? Why did they lay it all out in an orderly fashion for God's people? What is the reason that the messenger was not presented as your voice, while the Zaphath, your, affirming that they were Israelites? Why is Zapha a verb rather than a noun, and why did Yahowah transition from one voice to many watchmen? 450 Nasa, rendered as they will lift up, was easy enough to translate. In the Kal perfect third person plural, we know that at this moment in time the remnant of Israel will actually accept, honor, and respect what the Kal, voice has been proclaiming, albeit this time Kal is a singular masculine noun. When it comes to Yada, I tend to be pedantic because it carries so many wonderful implications. It means that the people will lift up the voice's proclamation all together and in one accord. They will be alike and unified with Yeh, in complete agreement having become his beloved. Simultaneously they are Renan, joyously shouting out a ringing endorsement of what was announced by the Herald. The reason for this melodious rapture becomes obvious with Kyin Bar Ein Ra Bar Shub Yahowah Zion Racham, because they are witnessing the merciful return of Yahowah to his home, and theirs, on Zion. It has turned out exactly as the voice had proclaimed, and they are there to see it for themselves. These things known, let's go back to our original questions and place the final pieces in this puzzle. The Kal, voice is clearly the Basar, herald presented in the previous statement. There is one, and he is actively engaged in communicating Yahowah's message, having chosen to respond to God's voice many years ago. His pronouncements, however, are not his own. He is focused upon what was previously conveyed by Zaphath, your watchmen who have witnessed the future and revealed what is going to occur, arranging and laying out what they have seen before you. This would make your most observant, diligent, aware, and focused upon future expectations who serve as lookouts for the community Yahowah's prophets. The watchmen have names like Moses, Shamuel, Daud, Yashar, Yirmiyah, 451 Zechariah, and Malachi. They were active communicators, demonstrably and literally reporting the future as was revealed by Yahowah. The event being proclaimed, therefore, is the anticipated reunion between Yahowah and Yisrael on Yom Kippurim in the Yobel year of 6,000 year. Yahowah is returning to reconcile and restore his relationship with his people as was foretold. Announcing this and making it known among Yahweh is our mission, the sole reason Yada Yahowah was compiled. Until relatively recently, I was unaware that Yahowah's prophets had painted a prophetic portrait of what I had been asked to accomplish on behalf of Yahweh back on Towrah in 2001. Frankly, knowing early on how relevant Yada Yahowah would be in God's plans would have been counterproductive, even unnerving. I would have shrunk under the pressure because I did not know enough to accept such responsibility and see it through. For the first 10 years, while I was a prolific translator and writer, I was more student than teacher. But then while composing observations, the pieces of Yahowah's puzzle began to take shape, the images became clearer, and with each piece properly oriented, they all began to fall into place. I had come to know Yahowah's name, recognize that Torah means teaching, understand his timeline, appreciate the purpose of the Mikra, and had come to comprehend what God was offering to us and expecting in return through the Berith, covenant, which is enough for one lifetime. I knew that Yahowah was anti-religious and apolitical and that there were three outcomes awaiting human souls. But it wasn't until I had translated Shamuel, 2 Samuel 7 for the 6th or 7th time that I finally perceived David's role in all of this, which is as essential to our understanding as any aspect of Yahowah's plan. 452 This means that the Son of God, the Messiah, and the returning King is Daud, our Savior. He served as the Lamb and is the Shepherd. Daud is the exemplar, the one who was right about God, the light on the path home. Even Yahowah's return and the reconciliation of his people revolve around his chosen one. The Basar was appointed, therefore, to make this known. Beginning with the martial, Proverbs in observations and then moving through Yashar, Isaiah, the translations led to the first of many profoundly important realizations. In the 11th chapter, we discovered that there would be a chota, sucker growing out of the ancient rootstock from which Dowd emerged. A gawi, he would be empowered and enlightened, emboldened and enriched, as never before by the 7 spirits of Yahowah to awaken Yahweh in the last days. While trying to more accurately translate zarowa, I was drawn to the next chapter in Yeshaya, the 53rd. It in turn led us back to Dowd and to his son's Sermon on the Mount during Solomon's dedication of the home of Yahowah. It was then that we were introduced to the Nakri, observant and responsive foreigner. The prophecy was far-reaching in its implications for Yahweh and Gam alike. And therefore, Wagam, regarding someone else, my observant and discerning foreigner from a different ethnicity and geographic location who will come to understand, Ha-Nakri, someone from a dissimilar place and culture, speaking a different language, who, having paid attention to me will comprehend, from Naka, by being attentive and astute will become acquainted, recognize, and acknowledge something which deserves attention and consideration, who, to show the way to the benefits of the relationship, Asher, is not of your people, Lo Minamota, this Yisrael, Hu. 453 He will come, Wabo, he will arrive and enter the scene, from a distant country in a distant time, Mineres Rechauk, out of a land a great distance from Israel and following a long interval of time, for the express purpose of being a witness and providing answers regarding, the man, for the sake of responding and replying to, providing testimony as an observant individual with the express intent of revealing, your, otter, tremendously important, Haggadal, empowering and distinguished. Growth promoting, name, Shem, personal and proper designation, the influence of your hand, Yod otter, your ability to accomplish the task, the powerful and passionate ruler who is prepared to lead, Chazak, the strong and influential individual with a fighting spirit, who is able to protect his people from those who would seek to harm them, the one who is intensely prepared and resolutely capable of encouraging and defending his extended family. The one who embodies the right character and appropriate status, who is articulate and able to govern, and thus, Dowd, and, Wah, the sacrificial lamb, zarowa Hu, the prevailing and effective strength, resolve, and overall ability of this ram among his sheep, continuing to address Dowd, who is fruitful in his ways, accomplishing the mission when sowing the seeds which advance the purpose of the arm of God, whom you have extended, Otter Ha-Nata. When, Wah, he arrives on the scene and chooses to pursue this, Bo, when he comes, advancing these associations, wanting to clarify the proper direction, then, Wah, he will help interested parties reconcile their relationship, by providing those who exercise good judgment with the information needed to make a correct and reasoned decision, Palal, providing an accurate assessment which enables thoughtful individuals to come to an agreement, and by foreseeing future events he will provide persuasive arguments which are assured to deliver the expected results. Regarding this familial 454 relationship, El Ha-Beth Ha-Zeh. Dabarem Ha-Yaumim 632. When you hear it out of the heavens, coming from the atmosphere, Wa Otashama min ha-Shamaim, when you listen to what comes out of the spiritual realm by way of the sky, from radio waves and especially satellite-based broadband internet connections, even the cloud, within the location where you live, min Makaun Yashabota, then, Wa, engage and act accordingly, doing everything, Basar Herald, which to show the way, Asher. My observant foreigner from a different ethnicity and geographic location who understands, Ha-Nakri, this man from a different place and culture, speaking a different language who is uniquely discerning about me, has invited you to read, Kara El Otter, will have made pronouncements to you about God for a considerable period of time, consistently reciting the word to you, summoning you to it, calling you out to meet with and be welcomed by God. For the express purpose of being a witness who provides answers such that, Laman, all peoples of the earth, Sherlam Ha-Eres, will have a genuine and ongoing opportunity to become familiar with, to know, acknowledge, accept, and understand, Yada, your name, Eth Shemotter. He will come to respect and revere you, Wala Yer Eth Otter, along with, Ka, your people, Amotter, Yisrael. This is so, Wala, they may know, Yada, they might acknowledge, accept, and appreciate, that, truthfully, KY, I have built, Banar, and re-established, for your family this house, Al-Ha-Beth Ha-Zeh, which to reveal the correct path to give life meaning, Asher, is designated and called, Kara, by your name, Shemotter. Dabarem Ha-Yaumim, words for the days, 2 Chronicles 6:33. 455 We have also discovered that the Nakri reappears throughout Yeshaya, with Isaiah devoting much of his book to his arrival and role in God's plans as we approach the last days. In the 57th chapter, the great prophet revealed that, since there was not a single Yahweh willing to intercede and plead Yahweh's case to his people, there would be a third zarowa, sowing the seeds God has provided, this one anointed with the Spirit as a Basar, herald proclaiming the message. Yashar would reintroduce the Naka, observant foreigner in the 60th chapter, writing, "For the name, L'Shem, of Yahowah, Yahowah, your God, Elohim, the set-apart one, La Kadosh of Yisrael, Yisrael, he has sought to honor you, raise you up, and endow you, Path, he has ascribed you with a high status through his clarifying explanations regarding this harvest." Yashar 60-9. And so, the progeny, Beni, of the Naka, observant and responsive foreigner, Naka, the little appreciated and often misunderstood non-Israelite from a distant land who closely examines and carefully considers, then recognizes and acknowledges the truth, making it known through declarative statements, the discerning friend who highly regards what can be perceived and should be respected to elicit the proper response, will re-establish, Banah, will restore and rebuild, the means of separation and protection, Chama'ath, an elevated pathway, while those who are thoughtful and responsive among them, Malachem, shall render assistance and serve with you, Shiratath. This is because, in my frustration, Barkes if any, in my antagonism, I struck you, Nakaath, but now with my acceptance and approval, Varatson any, I will be merciful toward you, Rachamath. Yashar 60-10. 456 Addressing this day, the Almighty said, "You will know, Yada, you will be aware and understand, that I, Yahowah, Yahowah, am your Savior, Moshiach, and your Redeemer, Wagalath, the Mighty One, Abir, of Yaakov, Yaakov." Yashar 60-16. This has all been leading up to Yahowah's return when the sons, Hashemesh, light, or illumination, will no longer be a means of persistent renewal, Lohia, Ode, will not exist as a restoring witness, for you, La Athod, by day, La Yomam, or as a measure of time, nor the moon, Ha-Uraic, the monthly calendar, a source of information on when to respond, while Anoga, by night, Lael, to provide light, Lo or, for you, Laath. Instead, Yahowah, Yahowah, will be for you, Hyalath, an everlasting light, or Olam. And your God, Elohimath, your glorious adornment, La Tiferethath. Yashar 60-19. Then your family, Math, will be entirely right, Shirl Zadik, they will all be correct, validated, and vindicated. They will be heirs to the land, Hem Yarash Eres, they will inherit and possess the earth, forevermore, La Olam. This observant sprout and shoot, indeed this sucker from the original rootstock preserving the life of the tree, Netzer, this new growth emerging from an old stump which uplifts a future generation, this extension grafted into the main branch which can be used as an implement to spare lives by revealing that which was not readily known, from Nazar, to be observant, watchful, and trustworthy, to guard, protect, and preserve, is the one which Yahowah planted, Hamata Yahowah, the one whose base and roots Yahowah established, the work and accomplishment of his hands, Maaseh Yod-Hu, to 457 endow a higher status through clarifying explanations, La Pa. Yashar 60-21. That which is determined and readily known, Ha-Katan, the simple and insignificant, even the briefest moment in time, will be, higher, magnified 1,000-fold, La Ha-Laf, will become abundantly productive, and the child with older siblings, Wah-Ha-Tsa-Ir, the more recent addition to the existing family, will be an accomplished and effective Gentile, Gawayatsum, will be an empowered, strong, and potent individual of a different ethnicity. I, Yahowah, Yahowah, am prepared to accomplish this quickly, Chobshai, at the proper time, Bar-Eth-Hai. Yashar, Isaiah 60-22. By the 63rd chapter, Yashar would refer to him as a Malach, messenger who would be used, to save God's people in the end. It was a theme the final prophet, Malachi, my messenger, also raised. Therefore, behold, I am going to send out, Hine Eni Shalak, my messenger, Malach Eni, my representative who, as a herald, will interpret and convey my testimony, commissioned to declare what I have to say. And, he will prepare, clearly mark, and highly regard, Panna, the way, Derek, before me, regarding my appearance, La Panna Eni. Then suddenly to open eyes and minds, Pitom, he will arrive to pursue the harvest, Bo, for his palatial home, El Hekelhu, the upright one, down, whom, Asher, you, yourselves, have sought, Atam Bakosh, along with, the messenger, Malach, the representative who, as a herald, will interpret and convey the message, who is commissioned to declare the account, of the covenant, Habarith, in whom and for which, Asher, you, Atam, have desired, Chafets, have wanted and preferred, speaking of Daud's return. 458 Therefore, pay attention, he is arriving and will be returning to pursue the harvest, Hubo, promises, Amar, Yahowah, Yahowah, of the spiritual implements, Zaba. Malachi 3-1. So who, Wamai, can comprehend and endure, Kuel, can understand and seize upon, properly calculate and support, this day, Eth Yaum, when he arrives, Bohu. And who, Wamai, will be present, standing and remaining, Halmod, beside his appearance, Barahu, when he comes into view. Malachi 3-2. Yahweh told his people, from the days, Lamin Yamim, of your ancestors, Abatam, you have turned away from, so min, my clearly communicated written prescriptions for living, Kukeni. You have not observed them, Walo Shamar. Choose to return to me, Shub El Eni, and I will choose to return to you and to restore you, Washub El Atom, promises, Amar, Yahweh, Yahowah, of the spiritual implements, Zaba. Malachi 3-7. After a prolonged denunciation of Judaism, Yahweh presents his solution. Then, at that time, as, thereupon, at this distant and vital moment, those who respect and profoundly value, Yahweh, Yahowah, will convey the word, speaking and writing, to Bar, as an individual, Ish, to his errant and irrational countryman, El Riahu. And, Wah, Yahweh, Yahowah, will listen attentively, and accepting what he hears as true, he will respond by assisting this messenger, Kashab, he will receive the entire message, hear everything which is said, and will regard it favorably, acting to enable its dissemination because of its accuracy. 459, and he will continue to listen, Wa Shama, such that, Wa, a book, Sefer, of remembrance, systematically conveying a word-by-word recollection of the previous communication, Zikaron, to recall and bring to mind, to make foremost in one's thinking, commemorating the right inheritance, conveying what is accurate and should be remembered, will be written, Katab, before his appearance, La Panahu, to approach his presence, for those who respect and admire, La Yahweh, Yahowah, and who consider, account for, and who have determined the merit of, Wa La Chashab, his name, Shemhu. Malachi 3:16. As a result, Laman, they will be mine, Wa Haya Eni, promises, Amar, Yahweh of the vast array of spiritual implements, Yahowah Zaba. Approaching that day, Laha Yaum, when, to show the way to receive the benefits of the relationship, Asher, I will engage, acting in a demonstrable way, to prepare my most treasured possession, someone whom I value and hold especially dear, Basar, I will do what needs to be done, working to develop and celebrate my affection for that which I appreciate. And so I will protect and spare them, delivering them from harm, while heaping favor upon them, recognizing the scope of the challenges before them, Chamal Alhem, I will demonstrate my gratitude and enduring love, even commiserate with them, especially considering the difficult task of showing compassion and under these conditions, similar to the way, Ka Asher, an individual, Ish, favors, spares, and protects, assuring the safety while empathizing with, Chamal Al. Is especially generous and affectionate toward, even lenient and patient considering the challenging circumstances while being responsible for, his son, Ben-Hu, who works with him, Har-Bad-Eth-Hu. Malachi 3:17. 460 So return, Washub, then come back and be restored, and you will see, Wara, the distinction, and understand the difference, between, Bayan, comprehending the dissimilarity of, the one who is right, Zadik, the one who is vindicated because he is correct, as opposed to those who are wrong, La Rasha, compared to those who are incorrect, understanding the dissimilarity concerning, Bayan, the one who works with God, Abad Elohim, in contrast to the way of, La Asher, those who do not serve him, Lo Abadhu. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:18. With these realizations came a newfound sense of responsibility. I would marry a Yahweh, and leave the distractions of the US mainland behind, finding an idyllic island on which to focus and write. Together we would change the appearance and appeal of the books, creating the Yada Yahowah family. And we would rewrite them, all 15,000 pages twice over, improving the translations and correcting the commentary such that they were worthy of the promises Yahweh had made of them. While I am still uncomfortable with the acclaim, indeed, unworthy of it, I accept the responsibility because I do not want to disappoint my father. He promised to reconcile his relationship with his people, but they were ignoring him. So how was the family reunion going to occur if we couldn't get their attention? And it was for this purpose that Yahweh introduced his Chota, Nakri, Basar, Kaul, Zarowa, and Malak, a man known as Yada, to compose a Nez, banner which would serve to encourage his people to Yada Yahowah and come home. This joyous reunion will occur just as Yahweh and his prophets have predicted and on God's schedule. Will you be among the celebrants? Choose to be serene while bursting forth, Patsak, be at peace, absent of anxiety, concern, distress or worry, 461 ready to enthusiastically acquire an amazing influx of positive energy, Kal imperative, shouting and singing for joy, Renan, publicly offering a melodious song which expresses your happiness, Peel imperative, from one Keza, all together as one, Yodor, in unison and all of one accord, O desolated places, Chabar, from the depopulated rubble, of Yerushalayim, the source of teaching and guidance on reconciliation and restoration, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem. For indeed, KY, Yahowah, a transliteration of Yahowah is instructed in his Torah, teaching regarding his higher existence, has shown compassion and has comforted, Nachem, has consoled, his family, Amhu, and, Wah, because, from one Keza, he has redeemed, Gal, he has bought back and restored by way of paying a ransom using a kinsman redeemer, Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, the source of teaching and guidance on reconciliation and restoration. Yashar, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:9. When we know what is going to occur before it happens, we can be serene and enjoy the moment, no matter how monumental or awesome. The children of the covenant are at peace, without a worry in the world, because our Father has returned to claim us as his own. By this time, out of a world ravaged by war, in which Yerushalayim has been relentlessly assaulted by Muslims and Christians, progressives and communists, the city stands. And as it is restored, Yahowah will comfort his people in this place, their home. Starting with the 7th verse of the 52nd chapter and running through Yashar, Isaiah 53, the Masoretic Tanakh is so inconsistent with the Qumran scrolls, the editors of the Dead Sea Scrolls Bible felt compelled to acknowledge the ability of the 1,300-year-older manuscripts to correct the record. They do not, however, 462 state the obvious. Since these words introduce a prophecy wholly inconsistent with Judaism, which is the arrival and mission of the Passover Lamb, the Messiah and Son of God whom the rabbis are especially prone to deny, the increased propensity of alterations is obviously deliberate. I share this revelation because, if you are a religious Jew, you should stop relying upon such men. They deceive and are deadly. Second, if you are wondering why some of what I'm sharing varies significantly from your JPS or, worse, the KJV, NIV, NASB or NLT, the answer is that I am relying upon the text as it is preserved in the 2,200-year-old Great Isaiah scroll found in Qumran rather than the alterations proposed by the rabbinical Masoretes. And this section of Yashar differs from the Masoretic text by a wider margin than any other. The next statement is meritorious. Yahowah, Yahowah, the proper pronunciation of Yahowah, our Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Hayeh, existence and our Shalom, restoration, has exposed and drawn out by stripping the bark away to reveal, Chesaf, has uncovered and bared, that which is associated with, Kodesh zarowa Hu, his set-apart and special sacrificial lamb, his uniquely productive ram and protected shepherd, even the one who separates unto him by sowing his seeds, Kodesh Hu zarowa. The prevailing and effective strength to set apart, the resolve and overall ability of the remarkably important and impactful leaders and fighters engaged to shepherd his flock by being fruitful when sowing the seeds of truth and advancing the purpose of the arm of God, before and on behalf of, La, to facilitate the approach of, unto, and among, the eyes, perceptions, and witness, Ein, the sight, appearance, and presence to facilitate understanding, of every Gentile, Shurl HaGoim, of all of the nations 463 comprised by those who are not ethnically Yahweh, people of different places and races. Everyone, to the ends of the earth, will witness the final, Wara Shurlafis Ha-Eres, at the extreme boundary of space and time, they will see the unending, salvation and deliverance, Yeshua, the liberation and freedom, of our God, Elohim and Akdu. Yashar, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:10. We are now aware that there are three zarowa, each influencing Yahowah's people in different ways and at different times. The first zarowa was Moses, the shepherd who became the great liberator. And regarding Moses, the Torah he authored with Yahowah will be revealed for all to see upon God's return. And there is no question that Moses was Kodesh, special. This prophecy is, however, addressing Daud, because the sacrificial lamb will be revealed alongside his father as Israel weeps because of what was done to him. As our returning king, he will lead and counsel the entire world throughout the millennial kingdom. Also, Daud is unquestionably the most Kodesh, unique of men, and this will be particularly evident when he returns as brilliant as the sun and, thus, for all to see. Further, he is the branch, which coincides nicely with the removal of bark to perceive the essence of this great zarowa. And that leaves us with the one zarowa who does not actually belong among these great men, but is here to point Yahweh back to them. He also fits the bill because he is exceedingly Kodesh in the sense he is the only Gawi in the group. Moreover, his role is to serve as a witness to Gawam and Yahweh such that they are aware of Yahowah's return with his son, our Messiah and Savior, Daud. Unlike the others, with the advent of the internet, he can be seen the world over, sowing the seeds which were initially provided through Moses and cultivated by Daud. 464 And as we know with the Messiah's return, as well as with Eliah's reappearance, the last days on earth will be substantially different than anything we have encountered. As a chota, a stem off the great branch, the metaphor of exposing by peeling back the bark also applies. Moreover, since he has been the subject of the preceding prophecies, the little z might be included to a lesser degree. And perhaps, a little bit of each zarowa may have been what Yahowah intended. Also worth noting, in the midst of the restoration of Yahowah's family, the Gentiles are not forgotten. Redemption is for all mankind. Further, this prophecy says that, in the end, everyone on earth, regardless of ethnicity, will witness Yahowah's final deliverance and liberation of his people. It does not say that all will be saved by him. While redemption is offered to all, it is not accepted by all. To be with God, we must first disavow politics and religion, walking away from their derogatory influences. Come, be removed by turning away, change direction and take off, reject and leave, removing, such that we are withdrawn from there, Yatsa min sham, go forth and come out. But do not touch, al-naga, do not contact or be plagued by, anything unclean, polluted, or defiled, tame, inappropriate or religious, especially idolatrous and common. Choose to go forth and be withdrawn, Yatsa, proceed from and come out, kal imperative, from her midst, min talk high. Those who lift up, carry, and advance, Nasa, those who desire and bear, Yahowah, God's name transliterated as guided by his Torah, instructions on his higher, existence, adornment, Kali, implements, vessels, and innermost being, will be enlightened and illuminated, Bara, selected and received, cleansed and 465 purged, having been chosen, tested, and proven. Yashaya, 52:11. 4, KY, you will not go out in hurried trepidation, lo bar chip hazan yatsa, nor walk as a refugee, wa bar manus a lo holok, because, KY, Yahowah, the pronunciation of Yahowah, will walk, holok, in your presence, la panim atom. And the God of Yisrael, wa Elohim Yisrael, will gather, collect and receive, you in the harvest, asaf atom. He will be called, Kara, he will be welcomed and pronounced, from one Kiza, the God of the entire earth, Elohim Shel Ha-Eres, the Almighty of the land, from one Kiza. Yashaya, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:12. It is time to come home. In no uncertain terms, Yahowah is calling his family out of this world prior to his return. And of particular interest, our walk away from the babel of religion and politics should be confident and collected, thoughtful and deliberate. This is underscored by 4 verbs, the repetition of both sur, come out and turn away, and yatsa, withdraw, the operative term of the Exodus. Even Lo-Naga tells us that we should avoid all contact with that which has tame, plagued and corrupted humankind. It is only then that we are prepared to meet our Maker. Unlike the religious, who use scare tactics to induce conversions, God wants us to comprehend what we are disavowing and appreciate why we are walking away. That way, we'll not look back and pine for the bad old days and repeat the mistake of Lot's wife. We are not refugees, nor are we homeless. We belong to God, are members of his family, and have been invited to live in his home. We are the antithesis of Fakestinians. 466 This is the final harvest, the last time Yahowah will gather his flock. And all who are here have been Kara, invited, we have been welcomed into the company of God, who now, for the first time, is known throughout the earth. His religious rivals no longer exist, not that they ever did. Bathed in this light, and in the midst of this portrait of the role the Basar and zarowa play in announcing Yahowah's return with his son such that their people are prepared to receive them, we read, Behold, Hine, pay attention and see that, my servant, Ebed-Eni, my associate and co-worker, will gain understanding, prudently offering sound teaching leading to the proper response, Sakel, he will derive insights by being especially intelligent and circumspect, succeeding by carefully scrutinizing every circumstance and consequences, he will think, comprehend, and instruct, successfully accomplishing the mission, Hyphal imperfect, God is facilitating his understanding such that he can act for him forevermore. Then he will be raised on high, Warum, he will be exalted and held in the highest esteem, Kal imperfect, he will genuinely rise and will be continually exalted, be lifted up, honored, and supported, Wanasa, he will be accepted and upheld, be sustained and endure, Nephil perfect, once risen, he will uplift others. He will be increased in dimensionality to the greatest extent possible, Wagaba Maud, his nature, ability, influence, title, place, and position will be extraordinarily elevated, he will be esteemed to the highest degree. Yashaya, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:13. Of the three zarowa, only one fits this billing and rises to this level, Dowd, David. This, therefore, is announcing the return of the Messiah and Son of God, our Shepherd and King, as well as the sacrificial lamb. 467 God calls Dowd his Ebed, co-worker, associate, and servant more frequently than anyone else. Although, to a significant extent, Moses and even Yada are Yah's co-workers too. Relative to the things of God, Dowd was the most intelligent man who ever lived. Imbued with the Spirit and inspired by Yahowah, the insights he provided were second to none. And through his life and lyrics, he taught us how to be right with God. Simply stated, Dowd epitomizes what it means to be sacred. This is not to discount the other important zarowa, however. When we consider Dabarim, it is obvious that Moses was a quick study and very articulate. He was a profoundly effective teacher. And no one is his rival when it comes to explaining the proper way to respond to Yahowah. To the extent it may matter, I was gifted with a fast processor, such that I am able to think and respond quickly. More importantly, I am effective at making the connections and associations needed to transition from knowing to understanding, which is something Seichel suggests and Yahowah values. And as the author of this series, I think I've proven to be a reasonably effective teacher, especially when it comes to properly responding to what Yahowah is offering. Of the three zarowa, only Dowd will be raised, Nasa, lifted up, and Gabamowd, increased in dimensions and ability to the greatest extent possible. He is the closest thing we will ever witness to a resurrection. And since Yahowah is bringing his son back to rule the world, that's as Nasa, and Gaba as is possible. Moses has already risen to be with Yahowah, but he is not being lifted up at this time. He is not returning as the Messiah or King. He is esteemed to be sure, and in fact 468 more than anyone other than Dowd, but he has completed his mission. It is enough that Yahowah recognizes and appreciates what we have been able to accomplish together in compiling these books for his people. But I'm still struggling with having been acknowledged in these prophecies and cannot even fathom being listed in the same company as these extraordinary individuals. I'm content being part of the family, and would find it exceedingly uncomfortable to be honored in this way. However, the reality is that every covenant member will be Nasa, and Gaba. These are among the benefits Yahowah is offering. We are all highly esteemed by our Father and will be raised on high to live with him. Yahowah's desire is to lift us up and support us, raising us as his children. It is his responsibility to sustain those he has accepted so that we might endure. One of the many insights we have been able to glean from the Word of God is that Yahowah exists in the seventh dimension. While we are three-dimensional beings, the universe in which we reside is likely comprised of 6 dimensions. These include the 3 we recognize as space, plus time, in addition to what we refer to as the repulsive nature of dark energy and the attractive aspects of dark matter. Yahowah's intent to Gabamowd, increase our dimensionality to the greatest extent possible, which is to make us like himself. And with each step along the way, the effect is infinite. This is because each dimension is infinitely greater than the preceding one. This known, the most elevated and esteemed of men by God is Dowd. No one else even comes close. Upon his return, he will find his nature, ability, influence, title, place, and position will be Gabamowd, extraordinarily 469 elevated. He will be as brilliant as the sun and like God, even called Eliyahu, Almighty. As a result, and for the benefit of the relationship, Kar Asher, consistent with the proper way, many of the most repugnant and corrupt will actually, Rab Ken Misaketh, the most defective and unacceptable, the truly and overwhelmingly perverted, immoral, and rotten, be astonished and stupefied, stunned and then ravaged, Shamam, they will for a moment in time be awestruck and then devastated and depopulated, by you, Al-Otter, from one Kiza. Comparatively, this individual's, Min-Ish, perspective, his comprehension and understanding, Mehu, the presence of his supernatural revelations, his vision, and easily conveyed ways of perceiving things, even the phenomenal spectacle associated with seeing him, and his dignified and handsome appearance, Wa-Tor-Hu, his beautiful form, attractive presence, and distinguishing looks, will be well beyond the descendants of Adam, Min Beni Adam. Yashar, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:14. This is Dowd, Israel's staunchest defender and Yahowah's most intolerant leader, a man poised and prone to kill those who oppose what he represents with his words and sword. His return will stupefy and stun the rabbis and those they have plagued with Judaism. The repugnant and corrupt, perverted and rotten, will be devastated and then depopulated by God's returning king. The opening sentence reads like the script of one of the Messiah's many Mizmor songs. By comparison to others, Dowd's comprehension and understanding are stellar. His revelations are phenomenal. His martial proverbs are readily perceived and easily understood. 470 inches his previous life, Dowd was a handsome man, sufficiently attractive for God to acknowledge his good looks, but his former glory will pale in comparison to the dignified and beautiful appearance to come. He will be the most attractive man to ever live. This is the antithesis of how the prophet depicts the Basar, herald of the zarowa, sacrificial lamb in the next chapter. It is suggested that Yada's appeal will be his words rather than his physical appearance, which is an interesting twist on Basar meaning both body and speech. Or perhaps, Yahshua is suggesting that the cowl, voice will have a face for radio. What follows is being said of Daud. His first order of business upon his return will be to sprinkle a smattering of blood from his fingertips onto the Kaporeth, mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant in accordance with the Torah's instructions regarding Yom Kippurim. But then, consistent with Yahweh's directions on sprinkling anointing oil upon other treasured vessels within his home, the Messiah is going to anoint the most highly valued of all, God's children, the abundantly enriched Goim who are now covenant. What was once common will become set apart. Accordingly, so therefore and likewise, he will choose to spatter and sprinkle, Nazar, he will project a smattering of liquid, splashing, hyphal imperfect, he will make the races more like him by consistently anointing them, the greatest and most abundantly enriched of the Gentiles, Goim Rab, many people from different races and places along with numerous ethnicities. Because of him, Al-Hu, the mouths of political rulers will be shut, Kapats Melech Pehem, the ability to speak of governmental leaders will not be allowed. Indeed, that which, for the benefit of the relationship, KY Asher, he has recounted and itemized 471 inches writing about them, Saphar Lahem, he has recorded and proclaimed pursuant to them, Paul perfect, the prior political leaders will suffer the effect of what he has written at this moment in time, they will witness and be shown, Ra, they will see, and what they had not listened to, Wa Asher Lo Shama, they will realize and comprehend, Bin, they will make the connections required to understand. Hitpale perfect, they will suffer the effect of what they can momentarily perceive apart from other influences. Yahshua, salvation is from Yah, Isaiah 52:15. To appreciate who is being prepared for service among the Goim, Daud will be sprinkling anointing oil on either Rab, the most important and respected Gentiles or upon Rab, numerous of them. We should prepare for both eventualities, so that we are among those ready to serve our God and King. And while this is my preferred interpretation, there is also the possibility that Israel's great defender will silence the leaders who are opposed to the restoration of Israel and Yahweh's decision to make him king of the earth by shedding their blood, killing them. The last of mankind's leadership will experience what Daud has written about them, which means he will exterminate them. This will take those who are empowered by surprise because they will not have listened to what the returning king has written throughout the Mizmor, Psalms. And now that it is too late to change, they will finally understand. Should you be among those who are squeamish at the sight of blood, there is a lesson here we ought not overlook. There will be recompense. Those who have misled and abused God's people, Daud's flock, will be held accountable. They will be appraised of their crimes and then sentenced. 472 But no matter how we interpret these words, they do not apply to the mythical Jesus Christ. Daud, alone, wrote the words which will condemn the leaders of the earth. He, alone, will be Melech. Those who have governed previously will be silenced and convicted. This prophecy, right from the beginning of the 52nd chapter, has been about the return of Daud, David. It has even foretold of the Basar and cowl who will herald his arrival. It is only misinterpretations and mistranslations that have given rise to religious myths. Awake, become alert, be roused from your stupor and rise, Ur. Choose to become clothed and adorned, lavish, in power which strengthens and protects, emboldens and equips, enables and empowers, Oz. Zion, signs posted along the way, Zion, choose to be adorned, lavish in garments, bijed, beautifying and honoring you, making you radiant, Tiferath. O Yahushalem, the source from which instruction and guidance on reconciliation flow, Yahushalem, the set-apart, special, and unique, HaKodesh, city, it's true that, KY, never again, Lo Yazafod, will the uncircumcised, nor the stubborn, unresponsive, and forbidden, especially the defiled and impure who are religious, Watam, come and be included among you, Bo Ba'ath. Yahshua 52:1. Of your own initiative, apart from political and religious influences, shake off and keep away from, the dirt, filth, and rubbish, these shades of grey about to be pulverized, Apha, and arise, standing upright and restored, Kum. Stay, dwell, and endure, Yashab, in Yahushalem, 473 Free of all societal influences and of your own volition, release, Patak, the bonds and shackles, Mauser, upon your neck, Zawa'ath, O captives who are politically and religiously controlled, Shabia. Bath Zion, restore and rebuild the house and family of the signs posted on the way, Bath Zion. Yeshaya 52-2. Therefore, right here and now, says, Amar, Yahweh, Yahowah, you have been betrayed, having surrendered yourself in exchange, Makar, for nothing and naught, without even the benefit of a rational argument, Chinam, and so those of you who are redeemed will be bought back, Gal, without that which people value, Walo bar Kezif. Yeshaya 52-3. For thus says, Ko Amar, Yahweh, Yahweh, in an earlier time, Vaha Rishon, my people, Ameni, descended, going down to, Yared, Miraim, the crucibles of political and religious oppression, Miraim, to dwell there as strangers, Lad Risham. Then the Assyrian, Wa Ashur, oppressed and mistreated them, defrauded and exploited them, Ashak Hu, beyond measure and without cause, Bar Fees. Yeshaya 52-4. So then, Wa Otter, why should I be concerned here, my La Eni Po, prophetically asks, Naum, Yahweh, Yahweh, since, Ky, my people, Any Am, are led away and accept this, Lakek, for nothing, without a valid reason, and in vain, Chinam. Their orators, political and religious rulers, those who exercise governmental and clerical power and authority over them, their sages, those who are considered wise and whose pontifications have become notorious, martial hue, lack understanding and exercise poor judgment such that they simply cry and scream while failing to offer reasoned conclusions or 474 warranted insights, Yal, prophetically declares, Naum, Yahweh, Yahowah, while every day, continually and constantly, Watamid Shirl Ha Yaum, my name. Shemeni, is despised, rejected, and treated with contempt, spurned, devalued, and disrespected, avoided and disdained, Nats. Yeshaya 52-5. So therefore, Laken, my family, Ameni, will know and will make known, Yada, my name, Shemeni. As a result, Laken, in that day, Bar Ha Yaum Ha Hu, indeed, Ky, I am he, Any Hu, who will declare, Hadabar, behold, look now and see, here I am, Hine Any. Yeshaya 52-6. How suitable and befitting, desirable, appropriate, and pleasing, Manah, upon the mounts, Al-Harim, is the stance, regal, of the person who proclaims the good news, serving as a herald and messenger in the flesh, Basar, who announces on behalf of those who are listening, Shama, reconciliation, restoration, and renewal, Shalom, of the individual in the flesh who conveys this positive and uplifting message, publishing the report, Basar, which is good, generous, and beneficial, Tob, for those who listen. Announcing and proclaiming, Shama, deliverance and salvation, liberation and freedom, Yeshua, and who speaks on behalf of, Amalah, Zion, the signs posted along the way, Zion, your God, Elohim reigns and provides counsel, Malak. Yeshaya 52-7. The lone voice of a singular individual will actually choose to actively engage to literally articulate that which has been communicated by, Kaul, your watchmen who have witnessed the future and revealed what is going to occur, arranging and laying out what they have seen before you, Zaphath. They will lift up, Nasa, the voice's proclamation, Kaul, all together and in one accord, Yador, singing 475 joyously, Renan. Indeed, this is because, Ky, eye to eye, Ein bar ein, they will see, Ra, the return, Barshu, of Yahweh, Yahowah, to Zion, Zion, with mercy, love, and compassion, Bar Racham. Yeshaya 52-8. Choose to be serene while bursting forth, Patsak, shouting and singing for joy, Renan, all together as one, Yodor, desolated places, Shabar, of Yerushalayim, the source of teaching and guidance on reconciliation and restoration, Yerushalayim. For indeed, Ky, Yahweh, Yahowah, has shown compassion and has comforted, Nachem, his family, Amhu, and, Wah, he has redeemed, Gal, Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim. Yeshaya 52-9. Yahweh, Yahweh, has exposed and drawn out by stripping off the bark to reveal, Chasaf, that which is associated with, Kodesh zarowa Hu, his set-apart and special sacrificial lamb, his uniquely productive ram and protective shepherd, even the one who separates unto him by sowing his seeds, Kodesh Hu zarowa, before and on behalf of, La, the eyes perceptions, and witness, Ein, of every Gentile, Shirl Hagawim. Everyone, to the ends of the earth, will witness the final, Wara Shirlafis Ha Eres, salvation and deliverance, Yeshua, of our God, Elohim Anakhu. Yeshaya 52:10. Come, come, be removed by turning away, Sur, such that we are withdrawn from there, Yatsa min Sham. But do not make contact with or be plagued by, Al-Naga, anything unclean, polluted, or defiled, tame. Choose to go forth and be withdrawn, Yatsa, from her midst, min talk high. 476 Those who lift up, carry, and advance Nasa, Yahowah, adornment, Kali, will be enlightened and illuminated, Barah. Yashaya, 52:11. 4, KY, you will not go out in hurried trepidation, lo bar chipazan yatsa, nor walk as a refugee, wa bar manus a lo holok, because, KY, Yahowah, will walk, holok, in your presence, la panim atom. And the God of Yisrael, wa Elohim Yisrael, will gather, collect, and receive you in the harvest, asaph atom. He will be called, Kara, the God of the entire earth, Elohim Shel ha-Eres. Yashaya 52:12. Behold, Hine, my servant, Ebed Eni, will gain understanding, prudently offering sound teaching leading to the proper response, providing insights to successfully accomplish the mission, Sekel. Then he will be raised on high, Warum, be lifted up, honored, and supported, accepted and upheld, Nasa. And he will be increased in dimensionality to the greatest extent possible while his nature, ability, influence, title, and position will be extraordinarily elevated, Gabamaud. Yashaya 52:13. As a result, and for the benefit of the relationship, Kar Asher, many of the most repugnant and corrupt will actually, Rab Ken Mishaketh, be astonished and stupefied, stunned and then ravaged, Shamam, by you, Alotta. Comparatively, this individual's, min-ish, perspective, his comprehension and understanding, mer-hu, and his dignified and handsome appearance, wa-tor-hu, will be well beyond the descendants of Adam, min beni Adam. Yashaya 52:14. Accordingly, Ken, he will choose to spatter and sprinkle, Nazar, the greatest and most abundantly 477 enriched of the Gentiles, Gaum Rab. Because of him, Al-Hu, the mouths of political rulers will be shut, Kapat Melech Pehem. Indeed, that which, for the benefit of the relationship, Ky Asher, he has recounted and itemized in writing about them, Sapar Lahem, they will witness and be shown, Ra, and what they had not listened to, Wa Asher Lo Shama, they will realize and apprehend, Bin. Yashaya, salvation is from Yeh, Isaiah 52:15. May the report which is published bring salvation and reconciliation to God's people.